Hey everyone, Random Randy here. In today's tutorial we're going to be learning how to make a center pull ball or skein, depending upon how much you're using, of yarn. This is a good way to use up scraps if you combine them together with the Russian yarn join or whatever joining method you have that you prefer. I really like the Russian join because it makes for a clean join that you can't really notice and doesn't mess with your gauge too much, but we'll get into the Russian join and how awesome it is later. So right now I'm going to show you how to wind up a center pull ball so that you don't have your yarn bouncing all over the place when you're trying to make something. Whether that prevents it from being attacked by your cat or your toddler or even your dog, who knows? It's definitely going to do good things for you and simplify your life. So here we have a fairly decent sized scrap of black heathered yarn. This is acrylic worsted weight. I want to say it's Hometown. It's something from Lion Brand. I can't quite remember offhand. I know I've got a few more skeins of it kicking around somewhere, but we're going to make this much more usable as it is. So you want to find the end of your yarn, and you want to leave probably a 6 to 8 inch tail hanging out. Too much more than that, it's going to be sloppy. If it's too much shorter, you run the risk of tangling it up in what you're doing and having to pull it out and start all over. So what you do is you take it in your hands like this with the short end dangling off. Make sure that you don't lose this when you're winding up the ball, because this is where you're going to tug your yarn from when you start working with it. So you wrap it around your hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to kind of cross over the yarn tail a few times in one direction, and then a few times in the other direction. You want to do this kind of loosely, because once you go into the next part where you cross over them horizontally, if you do it too tight, it's going to give you a ball of yarn barf when you go to pull out the tail. That means that you're just going to have a clump like this that's going to yank right out of the ball at first as you start using it. So once you've got it wound over your fingers and across the tail a few times, see the tail still hanging loose here, what you're going to do is pull it off your fingers slowly. See how it makes a bunch of loops? You're going to hold the loops together and wind across the middle. I'm just going to wind around the middle a few times. You don't want to do this too tight, again, because like I said, if you have a natural fiber that you're working with, like wool that actually has barbs on it that tangle together and get all stuck, it can rip your yarn, it can just tangle it and cause all kinds of mess when you go to try and use it later. So now that you've got it wound around the middle a few times, still got your end hanging 10 here, you're going to take it and you're going to squish it from the top just a little so it looks more like a ball. Loose here, there we go. You're just going to wrap it up over the top vertically, kind of going back and forth. Some up and down, some side to side, and you're going to kind of rotate it as you go. And just keep winding. Do it gently, not too tight. You can hear my dog in the background going nuts because it's daytime and people exist and there's stuff in the world and you don't even know it could be dangerous. Not very likely where we live, but you know, that's just how dogs are. And you want to keep turning it. The key to not losing your yarn tail is to always press your thumb right on top of where it connects to the ball and just don't wind over that part. So you just kind of alternate where you're winding the yarn, because if you do it too much in one space, then as soon as you move your finger, it's all going to fall right off the side, and it's going to pretty much undo the work that you've been doing. Now with a bigger ball of yarn, this is obviously a fairly small scrap, but with a bigger ball of yarn, you just keep repeating that. You just keep rotating it, winding it in a couple spots, turn it a little more, wind it some more, maybe turn it sideways and hold on to the tail, wrap it around the middle a couple of times, around the middle, turn it back, get a couple just to hold it all in place. As you go, you'll kind of get a feel for how the yarn behaves, because every kind of yarn is different. Now if you want to, once you've got it all wound together, you can tuck this end right into some of the last ones that you wove so it doesn't come unwound from the outside. And there you have it. You now have a center pull ball of yarn. And just to show you how it works, grab right onto the end here and you just give it a tug. It pulls right out of the middle, so you don't have your yarn doing the hippity hop that makes your cats want to eat it and roll up in it like a burrito. That's it for this tutorial. I hope it helps some of you out if you're looking for a better way to organize your yarn stash and keep things neat. Thanks for watching. See you next time.